Well, I bet you do have a high water bill. Fill valve and the flapper, Gator, if you would. Oh, you brought one. Good man. So we're going to replace the fill valve here and the flapper. Mystery person just brought me one and a little bit of grease for the... Some of you don't know what that grease is for. I'm fixing to show you. Alright, so we're going to turn this puppy off. Reach down here and do the turny-offy thing. Alright, this is one of my favorite calls to have. A lot of people don't realize this. Let me sit this down for a minute. And pull my shirt sleeve up here. Nothing up my sleeve. This valve has at the base of it a clicky thing. And you pull the cable off here. This has a bunch of flex to it. They get very hard and stiff with age. So this tells me that this one getting old. You see what I just did? Just pulled it because this little ring thing clips into place. So I reached down there, I pulled the clip up, and then I was able to pull this old one off. Put that in the sink so it doesn't drip everywhere. This should already be set to go, but it's not. So again, I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'll push the little clippy thing up, pull the new thingy out, and the new thingy has an O-ring on it. Oh, O-ring. Come here, O-ring. Mystery person. Here, hold this camera for me. Will you do that? Point it at me. While I fight and take this O-ring off. And I reach in here and do the same thing on this one. I'll take this one off. This is where I like to grease. And the rest of you can say, well, you don't need that. And I can only tell you, well, don't put it on yours then. Put it on there, and then don't just slide it on there. It's got a little groove it's got to fit in. So you run your fingernail down in there and make sure that the O-ring went into that groove. And it did. Then you make sure your thing is pulled up. Push your float down. I'm just lowering the water level to where I see this float is. Come up one or two here. So this is roughly the cutoff point. Reach down there and push your little clip back into place. Absolutely be sure. If you don't know it, don't turn that water back on yet. So with that, it should have been that simple. And that is rough to the water line. So I want to adjust this up a little bit. And so now we'll test it. I'm not going to flush the whole thing. I'm just going to let it refill. Shooby-doo.
I'm going to run down and grab it.
Shooby-dooby.
Fill valve for that other one as well.
And now it's working proper.
Can we get a flapper?
There's
not much wrong with that one. It's just it's a little old.
Let me feel this one. Just now how you tell about your flapper is this one seems in pretty good shape. It has a slicky coating on it. That's just because of the sediment and stuff that's just naturally in the water. You can't do anything. And it develops a slimy coating on it. And it's also because of the composite that the thing's made out of. Different manufacturers, different composites. It's like their own recipe kind of thing. So I like to take a minute and just take my finger and clean off some of that stuff. And then take a second and clean off this rim right here. Because it'll get a goodie stuck on. And you take your thumbnail. Jeez, I thought that was live in the water. It was gonna get me. Take your thumbnail and very slowly drag it around the edge of this thing. If there's a crack in it, you'll feel it with your thumbnail. So you just go around it, and these things are very good about not cracking. They didn't used to be, and so you'd put a new flapper on here, they'd call you back. You put another new flapper, they'd call you back. You got to change the whole flush assembly, break the tank down, bolts, gasket, the whole deal. But this one, that's it. So you had a high water bill, and sometimes had to jiggle the handle, but that was not the only problem. The fill valve was also hanging. So just this little bit right here will save every bit of what they're paying the plumber, and then some. Their water bill almost tripled because of this. So within a few months, they'll pay me back for this, and they will continue to save what would have been very, very expensive scenario over a year if this had been uncaught, unchecked. Oh my goodness, they'd had to finance it. Anyway, it's not the hardest thing that you can do. In fact, it's one of my favorite jobs. Is a high water bill, because about 80% of the time, this is the culprit. This or the flapper. All right. Next.